Welcome back. We're going to be making more Cyberscript Studio videos and how to script with it, and for real now, because we now have the framework to where we need it to be, and now I shouldn't run into any roadblocks while recording some of these videos for you guys. For a better disclaimer, to know these videos will not be cut, no edits, no nothing. It's straight up, straightforward. There will be chapters. If you want to skip ahead on certain elements, if I do have videos that cover multiple topics. But if I have one video that's just covering one topic, it will not have a chapter. And you will just have to watch it so you know fully well from point A to point Z how to make a certain thing. So with that said, let's get started with some of the basic stuff from Cyberscript Studio. Now, at the time of this video, your version of Cyberscript Studio might be lower or higher. I'm not entirely sure, but just keep that in mind. So we're going to check out one of the more basic things about Cyberscript Studio so you can get more accustomed to it. So we have the World tab. This is going to be your best friends. World and Scripting tab are going to be your best friends. The World tab gives you Entity Manager, which then you can see all the spawned entities via the Cyberscript framework that are active currently. Obviously, you have the player. Do not press the despawn button because you will crash your game. Look at NPC as if you're looking at an NPC that isn't registered by our framework. And obviously, look at entity is looking at someone that is registered. Current car is the current one that you're driving. Last spawned is whichever tag is last spawned. I will explain that in a much later video. And last killed, obviously it's the same thing as last spawned, but obviously they have to be dead. So with that, in the entity inspector, if you wanted to mess with anything like with the player, there's animation. You can do anything, any animation that can call. Now, say there is a few that don't, and we're going to try and address them if we can. Like for add slide, it doesn't do anything. It just T-poses me, and that's okay. There's gonna be some like that. They're gonna do that. And then you have this. You have synced animations that you want to do, and then that's gonna be. There's like so many animations for a lot of things. Time dilation, you can speed up, slow down the player, freeze the player, or whatever entity you have selected here. You can do multiple effects on an entity. It's fun to test these out on the player because you can do this. That's always fun to do. I always love doing that. So with that, that's the entity inspector. Oh, one more thing, sorry. You can spawn an entity or an item or a vehicle during these. It's fun. It's fun stuff to test out. Let's see. With camera, say if you want to have a camera spawn, we'll make a new camera. We're going to call it Cam 1. We're going to spawn it, then select it. We're going to look into it. It's going to spawn right directly under our player. And this we can real-time move it wherever we need to. And she doesn't have a head. So I'm gonna call a script that will give her a head. 1 second. And I will not explain this script yet because it takes a while to explain this one. 1 second. But you can like pause and kind of study it, what I'm doing right here. Okay, then play and work spot. There. And now we can go back to the camera, look in it, boom bada boom. And now we have a face. Okay. I can kind of look around too. Barely. Okay. So that's camera. It's pretty cool. You can make a lot of cameras, whatever you need. And then one big thing to note with Cyberscript Studio is the accessibility and quality of life things we give you for the player, such as, say, we spawn the camera through this UI. However, we want to have this same exact camera in the same exact coordinates to go into an action for our function, because we don't want to like fine tune it and, you know, call this spawn camera over here and then you have to like fine tune the little details that you had already over here. You don't want to do that. So what you could do is you can either do it manually by viewing this action as a JSON script by text and just copy and paste it in your own manually made script, or you can copy the actual action with the value set here, add a new action in wherever you're adding an action from, paste, and then it will line up. And then also, if you needed to follow the player's rotation, you can. If you're looking at an entity, it'll copy that. If you're looking at an entity, it'll copy the rotation of the entity. It will copy its own XYZ. It will copy the player's XYZ. This will apply to most spawn/X things. So with that, that's done. So that's camera. Map pin is pretty straightforward. If you have a lot of map pins on the map, so selected user map pin, selected map pin, that is the custom map pin and the selected map pin that I will show you. It will fall under the category of, see here, let's see. Say this is a selected map pin, but this is a custom. This is a user selected. I hope that makes sense. Okay. So that's camera. Next is going to be the tools. We'll get into that a little later. But there is probably one more thing you need to know in this one. Try to figure it out. Not really. So we're going to start pretty new with scripting. Action and trigger tester. Actions. Once you open this one up in the Cyberscript Studio, you either will have the new version by the end of this whole series, or not. But you will have the option to test an action. Or you can have the option to copy an action list that you tested out and put it into an actual script. Or if you have the newest version of Cyberscript Studio that will do this specifically, you can save it as its own function. So we're going to type this action tester. Why not? Oops. Action tester. Doesn't matter if the name and tag match, but the tag has to be whatever you set it to be, and the tag has to be remembered if you need it for anything else. For simple actions, you have a search bar if you are too lazy to look for anything. But to understand what you're searching for, you should probably take a look into what we offer. It is alphabeticalized, whatever the word is, to an extent. You know, you have the AI stuff. That's if you have the cyber AI mod put into your thing and you kind of figure out how to use it with this. But that could be another video if it's requested. Anim stuff is going to be, pertains to animations. The corpo thing, don't worry about it. We need to delete that. Devices, this goes for TVs, radios, and any other like electronic device that can be on or off. Dialogues, it pertains to the, sorry, I'm yawning. It pertains to the dialogue tree choices that you have pop up when you're making choices or trying to bust open a door with gorilla arms, or it's something like that. It's those things. Clean a subtitle. So if you see anything like subtitle, that means it's going to be the subtitle you see on the bottom of your screen. but choices is the dialogue choices, if that makes sense. I'll show you. In the script tab, you can make a new script, and you will have a thing called choice. This will say chi, why not? This is what I mean by the dialogue, the choices. Yee. So we can see it. Add a new option, a new icon. You can open the color picker. I should probably go over this as I'm doing it, but it's kind of me just finagling just to show you. All right, there you go. We'll get into this later, but for now we're gonna go over the little basic stuff. So now we have anything that pertains to a player, their current gang, whatever it is. You can find that within the variable editor. We'll go over that right now. These are very like chaotic segues, but we're gonna do it. We're gonna commit to it. If you want to look at the player gang, you go to tools, variable editor, search the variable. What variable? Well, the player is the variable. And then you would have your money and your current gang. I have nothing. I'm in no gang. Yes, you can give yourself more money. Let's see. Set perks, set skill, set level. I'm not entirely sure if these are fully updated for Phantom Liberty's update, so these might not work. These won't be really up to date yet, so wait on that if you try to finagle with player stats through Cyberscript. Infinite stamina, audit, all that stuff. The questing, that's going to be a big video in itself because there's a lot to go over with the questing. Scanner, that's the fun one. Once you're scanning someone, you can make a custom scanner data for that person, and I could show you a good example for that later. Scene work is, we don't know if this is actually like fully implemented in our framework because we didn't take that much time to put more love in it, but this would be essentially if you're trying to make like cinematics videos for like machinima, whatever you need to do. Scores just mean the variable's value. So what I mean by that, the score is the result of a variable. So say that I need the score of the variable player, but I need the score of the player variable, but in the key of the current gang, which is nothing. If that doesn't make any sense, just repeat the last 10 seconds of this video, of this little part, just to get it, because I don't even know what the hell I just said either. But it made sense to me. Sound, well, script, score, script is, this is the fun one. Let's say I want to teleport myself just the whole time, the entire time. So what we're gonna do is we can type in script in the filter box. Since we know it's under this category, we're gonna register an action list to direct action engine. What does this do? Because it sounds weird. So I'm going to show you and I'm going to explain it in a second. But first, let me find a good, this will be good. And then I need to reference the tag here. Yeah, if you're watching this part right here, I'm not going to explain it at this point, but you can totally pause it and see what I'm doing and kind of figure out what I'm doing. Teleport at, we want it to relative itself, and we're going to do a -0.1. And here we're going to do a 0.2. All right. This is fun. I promise you. We're going to open this up real quick. Actually, both of them, because I don't know if this will work. And voila. I am moving the entire time. In real time. No lagging. No nothing. However, so say if I wanted to increase it, by 4. Save it. Test it. Boom, bada boom. Changes the values right then and there. I'm going to keep on going. I'm just going to keep on moving. Doesn't matter. So what I'm doing is I'm making the framework call this action in real time per frame per tick. So you can see you probably can't see that much, but the tick is real time frame. It's going at real time frame. This is a very powerful action. It is very easy to do a lot of camera work with it, a lot of teleportation work with it like this. But it can also, it might cause instability if you're using it a little too much for like certain things, or it might look a little silly if you're using it for, say, notify the player every frame. That could be weird. That could be mean. Don't do that. So that's what subscribe action list to direct action is. And that's the only one that you would want to use. The other ones are okay, but this one's probably the better one to use, just for sake of simplicity. So some of these just don't really like matter. Custom sound is if you import a custom sound for Cyberscript Studio /Red Mod via the Cyberscript audio archive maker on the Cyberscript Core Nexus page. You guys try saying this all really fast, okay? So the custom sound is what you make from that audio archive maker into a red mod, also into a mod pack for Cyberscript. That will be another video in itself to explain that better. I know that's really bad. Play custom sound at entity. It makes the sound more directional, and that's really cool, because I don't know if we can actually really do that with just red mod alone. Sound, play game sound, that's meaning anything like these. Most of these don't work. So I'm not gonna like embarrass myself and try and figure out which one works. UIs are always a fun one to use. Change the camera position, rotation. That means the player's camera, player's camera position, player's camera rotation. If you want a notification authorization, type. That's so weird. Test it. Can I see that? No, I can't. Oh, it's weird. Okay, that doesn't work. Oh well. So there's a lot of actions. There's a lot of actions and stuff. Play effects. That's fun. Play effects test is the effects that we were messing with through Entity Manager through here. So if you wanted to play with this, you can reference the words from the Entity Inspector for player, the Effect tab, and you just click on it, and you can just easily copy and paste it. And just test it out. Boom, bada boom. Now if you want to stop it, make sure you have just like the tag is the player if it's on the player. Oh wow, they don't really have that. You could toggle that off. Interesting. So there's that. Those are the actions. Now the triggers are probably the more important thing to explain. That's why I saved them for last. There's a lot of windows open. I'm sorry. It's really like triggering to some people too. Okay, triggers. So the bread and butter of triggers and actions. If you have an action list that needs to be executed, you have to have a trigger set before it is executed, because you don't want it to have to set to auto trigger and everything just happens all at once. It can be really chaotic. Triggers are a very, very, very important organizational tool. That's all I can really say. So say that I didn't want my car or me to be floating away like this effortlessly until, say, I don't know, I'm in a car. I'm in a specific car. And you can really, this is the funny part, is say you want to do an action that pertains to when you get in a car. You don't necessarily need to have the tag specifically of the car. So what I mean by that is if you were to spawn a vehicle with a custom tag, you know, and just, you know, spawn one, it'll spawn somewhere. Where did it spawn? It'll spawn somewhere. It's probably spawning somewhere. I don't know. But yes, you can make that. It should pop up here. It didn't really spawn it because I'm in the air. Oops. So there's that. So say if you want to do something with that specific car that you're going to get in, well, the tag is still the same, but you have a new tag called current_car. That means the car you're currently driving. And for instance, I'm in a car right now. It's an invisible car that's referencing a work spot. We'll teach you that later, but I'm in a car right now, and the actual tag of the car is marker_1. And it's the same thing. But current car is if you are actually in the vehicle that will be labeled as your current car. It will have two separate tags. One's just more unique to the situation at hand. So back to the triggers. If you needed this specific action tested, the teleport action to be done once you get into a car, you would use a trigger. Or this action can't, or let me rephrase that. This action can't happen until you're in a car. You would choose entity in car, and the tag is current car. Or entity in car, that means if the entity specifically is in the car, in any car, and this would be the player in this case. So entity has a long list of triggers because there's a lot of things you want to do with entities, and they need to be not left unchecked when they do their actions. We need to make sure everything's organized and nice. Let's see. Some of these aren't really used too much. Game. This means you can check if there's ray casting, like surfaces, specific type of surfaces. This one requires a bit of mastery of the framework, I would say, because it needs to deal with the element called context, and that's going to be a big old video in itself because it's a lot to explain on that. Let's see here. Some of these we don't really use much, but you can totally use them. We could totally help you learn how to use them too. But there is a lot. Let's see here. A lot. Let's see. And now, say that you have custom sounds, which you probably don't, but if you do have custom sounds loaded into the game, you can always test them out over here. If they're here, then you did something good. If they're not here, then you did something wrong. That's if you know what you're doing with the custom or the Cyberscript Audio Archive Maker. God, those names are so long. You can check the facts for quests if you want. You could totally do that. Wow, he made it better. It does lag your game because you are pulling out all the facts. So there's that. Let's see here. So yeah, there's that. Let me get off of this. Let me stop teleporting. But as you can see, we've been teleporting for quite a bit in real time without any crashes, no stuttering, no problems. Probably because we're on the Badlands, there's nothing much going on there. Oops, guilty as charged. But we're gonna unsubscribe from that, and it's gonna do that. That's okay. Oh, the car did spawn. I love testing shit. So that's a basic understanding of Cyberscript Studio. If I need to go anything over specifically, I can upon request. However, there's going to be much more videos in particular in some cases, in some elements of the framework to make, like questing, how to make a function, how to make a dialogue, what to do with the dialogue, how to make a subtitle. That's all going to be very easy. I'll teach you how to make a mission that's actually more fruitful to in the way of learning instead of the last time I taught you guys. But I will see you in the next video. Yeah.